YouTube, it's been a while, but I'm going to make this video real quick and to the point. More truth about sound deadening, okay? We're going to talk about rattle in the trunk, and that's it. We're not going to talk about making a car more quiet. We're not going to talk about deadening doors, deadening floors, deadening roofs. We're just going to talk about the trunk. That's your main problem area. It's where you put two tens in the trunk facing backward, and they're making the trunk sound like a fart machine. You're rolling down the road. Sounds great to you, sounds like shit to them. You don't want people hearing you rolling up in the fart machine. You want them hearing the bass machine. You feel me, man? So what do? Well, first of all, you sit in your car, you hear the bass. You don't care what anybody else hears, then why are you worried? Okay? By deadening, you may increase your SPL by a little bit. And by a little, I mean a little bit. A little bit to the point where you might not even notice it and probably won't. Okay? Now think of your trunk panel, like this piece of paper here. When that sound wave hits it, it rattles. Okay? What adding deadener does to a body panel? Say we took another piece of paper and just glued them together. Now you'd have a panel that's a little more rigid and a little heavier. You'd add mass to the panel with these deadening products. You would lower the panel's resonant frequency that it would naturally resonate at, and you'd make it a little more rigid, and thus it wouldn't rattle as much. Okay? And let me add that in car audio, there's nothing more fun than applying deadener. You know, you're cutting it up, you're rolling it on. It's so much fun, dude. You know what? I would buy like 50 square feet of dynamite just to roll it on my bedroom floor. I really would. It's fun stuff. You know, you pull it out of the box, it's all shiny, it's like bling bling. Okay. But people who are adding 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 layers of this junk to the panel, something's wrong here, okay? What you're looking for when you're deadening something is not just to make the panel heavier. Doing that is not too difficult. You can make it heavier by adding dynamite to it, by gluing weights to it, really anything. But what you're truly after, is making the panel more rigid. Imagine you take one piece of paper and then you take a little piece of wood diagonally. That piece of paper will all of a sudden be more rigid than 5 of them put together. It'll weigh less. Okay? So the weight of the panel really doesn't matter, it's how rigid it is. That's how you eliminate flex, is you make those panels more rigid. And you can do this by little cross beams. Glue them on there. Little something. Doesn't really matter how you do it, as long as you make the panel more rigid. And you know, you can get some creativity here. If there's crevices in places you can't get into, that great stuff spray foam is really good. You know, a little $5. There goes your rattle. So remember, it's not always about adding mass. It's about making something more rigid. Okay? Dynamite and Second Skin, they're great products, but they're multi-use. They have multiple uses. For example, they block heat. They are good at also being a sound dampener in that they will block out certain frequencies from entering a car and thus help make it more quiet. But if we're talking specifically about eliminating rattle, then all you're worried about is making the particular panels in question more rigid. And just one more note here. Any panels that flex will flex out of phase with the subs. Thus that creates cancellation, which will lower your SPL score. Your vehicles that are, you know, extreme class SPL, you know, they go to great lengths to eliminate all rattle completely. No flex, no cancellation, and that's one of the many ways that they're achieving such high numbers. You know, you don't see, you know, street beat cars. Like, for example, Steve Meade, awesome system, but you don't see him hitting the 170. And there's a reason for that. It's not an extreme class competitor. I sense myself about to go on a rant here, So I'm going to end the video. But remember, just make the panels more rigid and you'll be good.